Yeah, that's great. Thanks very much, Henry. And it's brilliant to be here with the Chamber of Commerce this morning. I've been a member for a few months and I've loved all the training I've been to and all the networking events as well. So I may have met some of you in the marquee somewhere or in a hotel coffee room trying to eat all the croissants. So my name is Anna, and I work at Harestone HR. It's my own business and I set it up last year. I was a consultant about 20 years ago. Then I went back into full-time and part-time employment. And last year I took the decision to set up my own consultancy again. My circumstances has changed. My daughter had left university and I was able to do the things I wanted to do again. So I set up Harestone HR. This morning we're going to talk about making your business more innovative. And if you go to the next slide, my colleague Claire will, there we go, set this up. I work with businesses of all shapes and sizes to make everything they do more effective around people. And innovation is absolutely about people. It is not all about technology. That's just a way of making stuff happen. So some of the offers we have at the moment around innovation, and they'll make more sense probably at the end of the session, is how to develop psychological safety, how to develop an innovation strategy, understanding your business and assessing the culture of your business, whether that's 2 people or 1,000 people. And then we can run workshops as well about improving innovation in your business. And the prices will vary depending whether it's in real life or online and how much work needs to be done. But these are special rates just for Kent Invicta members. So here we go. Now, I love interaction in these sessions, so please feel free to use the group chat. If you have a question, please pop it in there. My colleague Claire is going to be going through, and Henry as well. So if you have any specific things you want to know, things you want to say, put it in there. And there's a little quiz in the middle, and I'd love your honest answers on that. So there are 4 ways we're going to talk about today, because we've only got half an hour, around innovation in your business. 4 things. We're going to talk about psychological safety, focusing on people, how to develop an innovation culture, and the fact you need to have a strategy. So just 4 areas today. There's lots in there. So the half an hour hopefully will go fairly quickly. If we move on to, before we go on, Claire, go back. Does anyone know what psychological safety is? I'm talking about it now. Thumbs up if you've got a thumbs up emoji, or use the chat. Anyone know what it is? In my world, we talk about it all the time. Anyone want to hazard a guess? No, we're all going to wait. Yeah, okay. Let's go through a very easy way of describing what
Matt, do you know what psychological safety is?
Yes. Oh, I missed that. Was that you, Amy? No, we're going to move on to the next slides. Obviously, a bit of delay in the line. Apologies for that. So this is a definition of psychological safety. So colleagues need to feel safe to express ideas and take risks without fear of being punished or embarrassed. All right, so that is an easy general definition of what psychological safety is. And we're talking about it in the context of innovation, but of course it can be anything in your business at all. So for your business to be super effective, your team to function really well, it must have high levels of psychological safety. And it's around trust and being trusted and being valued and having attitudes and behaviors that support that as well. So think about your business and your team you work in. Do you think that people feel safe? Do you think there's high levels of psychological safety? Have you ever worked somewhere where everyone just kept their head down and didn't come up with anything, and it was just easier just to go through the day to day, because if you spoke up, you'd be belittled or it would be remembered when it came to pay review time? So those are what we'd call unsafe environments. So here's a little quiz. I think it's the next slide. I would like everyone to do this, please. So I want you to do it as you in your role. And you don't have to share results or answers in the chit chat, but obviously feel free to do so. And then I want you to think about it if you were a new or junior person in your team. So if you just want to take a couple of minutes and just to go through this and be brutally honest. Okay. So if anybody wants to put something in the chat, you can put an emoji that might describe it. You can put yes or no, or a happy color, or 50%, whatever it is. It'll be very interesting to hear or see how you think this scores. Oh, we've got Henry is happy. You've got high levels of psychological safety at the chambers. That's really good. Yes, we've got applause. Is there anyone else? We've got some with caution. Yes. And when we talk about risk taking and experimentation, it doesn't mean that we say, right, we're going to spend all our money on some random idea. Everything is done thoughtfully. Anyone else want to just put a thumbs up or thumbs down or anything else in the chat? Maybe we'll come to that in a minute. No, yes, yes, yes. Experimentation, yes. Number one is a really interesting question. It's the truth to power principle, isn't it? And we'll come on to that a little bit in a minute. So let's go on to the next slide. And this is where understanding these things gives you a competitive edge. Okay, so everything I talk about, and I'm an occupational psychologist, is around how to make your business or team more effective, which makes you more commercially viable. All right. So only 25% of leaders actively try to create psychological safety. Right. So most people, they either don't know what it is, they don't do anything about it. Maybe bits of it happen by chance because that's just what they're like. But generally, leaders aren't doing this. And more or a majority of colleagues in an organization don't speak up. They don't say what they think. So think about that in your business or the places you've worked. What commercial edge would you get if those numbers were higher in your business? And again, think of the new starter, the junior person, the grad that's come in, maybe someone who's in a minority in your business, whatever it might be, and think, what would they be bringing? What could I as a leader learn if I knew more? Now, I've been working in places where there's been very low levels of psychological safety. And so no one said anything. And the top person, we just did what they said because it was much safer. Of course, damaging commercially. So let's move on. That's psychological safety. That's one of our topics this morning. And then, as with any business, and yes, I would say this, wouldn't I? Because it's my job, but it's all about people. So when we talk about innovation, people think, oh, it's all about technology. Well, it might be in your business, but before then, it's all about people. So when you are recruiting and promoting and developing your team, do you think about innovation? Do you ask specific questions in interviews about, tell me about a time when you introduced a new process? Tell me about a time when you changed something. Do you actively think about it? Because all the things to do around people and all things, innovation in this sense, you need to be deliberate. Don't assume something's going to happen because you want it to. The phrase hope is not a strategy absolutely applies to anything to do with innovation, certainly anything to do with people. So recruit people with deliberate expertise and behaviours that support innovation. when you are promoting people, think about what they bring. Because if you go with keeping everything the same, your business will get stuck and someone's going to come and take over. It's inevitable. It's survival of the fittest. So you need to be very deliberate about this. Diverse thinking. There's a lot of talk about, if you're in America at the moment, you're not allowed to talk about diversity, but all the evidence says if you have a broad range of views and experiences and backgrounds around your table, your ideas will be better. It's not just some lovely thing, it's proven to have a commercial impact. So when you are recruiting, when you are promoting, think about it. What skills do we need that we don't already have? What experiences do we not already have? And it isn't about being about positively discriminating, but it's just about if everyone looks and sounds the same, something's wrong with my recruitment because all your applicants will be different. So an example I can give about lack of diverse thinking is I was a director on a board, and I think I was the only one whose child was in the state system. All right. So all their children went to private school. I was obviously the one that didn't get paid as much. And they were talking about running an ad campaign. And they were really worried about a campaign running when the Rugby World Cup was on, because in their schools, everyone played rugby. Now, 93% of children go to state schools, and some of them play rugby, but not very many. It's about football. So I had to say, well, hold on a second, you're really invested in the Rugby World Cup because that's part of your world. But most people are not affected by it. The World Cup, the World Football Cup, yes. So I was speaking up because I didn't have the same view as them. I can't remember if we changed the date or not, but at least I was giving a different opinion because my background was different. So we might have all sounded the same, but we did have different backgrounds. So bring diverse thinking in. That can also mean if you've got a problem or you want to think about things differently, you get someone from that department or that team, you get someone from an external organization in, you get someone maybe who's left, someone who has different connections, but don't keep using the same people and the same thoughts. And the next thing about people is about adapters and innovators. So you can be an adapter, and that's when you improve on something that's already there. An example I can use from a previous organization I worked at was the exit interviews we used to do, and then we would write them all up, and then we would go through and pull out key themes. Instead of doing it that way, I introduced Microsoft Forms, and then AI did all the analysis for us, and we saved hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I mean, we had hundreds of people working in the business. So that was an adaptation of what we were doing. In terms of innovation, you will see on the slides, you might have tried to work out what are these funny machines. They're all vacuum cleaners. And in the longer version of this session, you'll get up to Dyson as well, who was a real innovator. So some of them were adapters and some of them are innovators. And that's when you do something really different. A very good example of that is Clipper Tees. A while ago, they decided to completely rebrand. They changed absolutely everything about their branding, and their sales went through the roof. They were seen as very fuddy-duddy, and they ended up being seen as quite trendy with great design. Okay, and they completely innovated what they do. So there's two sorts of people. Some people will do nothing. They're not adapters, they're not innovators, they'll just keep going with the status quo. And some people will be more of an adapter than an innovator. But you need to allow them to have time to do those things, and you need to expect them and want them to do those things as well. So if we go on to the next slide, this is about innovation culture. So some of the things I've already talked about, but I do want to spend a bit of time on this and give you time to reflect on either where you're working now, maybe where you've worked in the past, and your own values as well. So let's think about what pick box, oil tanker or catamaran. What is your business or team like? If you are an oil tanker, someone, if they come up with an idea, sends it up the line, goes up the chain of command. So someone tells their line manager, who tells their director, who takes it to the board. Then they all talk about it. Then it goes on an agenda item for another day. Then someone has to go and do a report about it. And then that comes back to the board meeting, maybe in 2 months' time. And before you know it, a year's gone by. That's an oil tanker. The other end of that is being a catamaran, and you can go a bit too quickly and not think about things thoroughly and do a risk analysis of stuff. So think about your culture. Is it easy to be innovative and make changes, or actually is it like wading through treacle? You want to get the balance right. You want things to be thought through, but you don't want to be 2 years doing something, because by then a competitor's come in, nicked all your clients, and you're done for. All right, so think about the nimbleness of your organization. Lots of startups are like catamarans. They have that mindset. That's great. Let's do it. Let's give it a go. But as they build and build and build, their culture changes. And before you know it, you've got to have a committee meeting, and it's death by committee. So started off very nimble and ended up being an oil tanker. And no one really knows when that happened, but it does. So are you top down or bottom up? What's your business like? Do all the ideas and things come from the most senior people? Or do the senior people listen to what's going on the ground? Or is it a mix? What works? What's the most innovative culture in your business? Again, lots of businesses, as they have low levels of psychological safety, I think it should always be a mix. Yes, Henry. It's about having the right thing at the right time. If you want people to buy into something and own it, they need to be involved. So if you just give things top down, doesn't matter how great an idea is, if people who are going to be using that product or be part of that program haven't had a say in it, their buy-in will be lower. So you need to understand that people need to go on that journey with you. A classic example from many years ago when I was still in retail ops is the HR team came up with this fantastic process. I can't remember what it was for now, but a fantastic process. And they thought it was brilliant. It looked all shiny, but no one on the ground in operations, and I was an area manager for a national retailer, had a say in it. So it was never going to work because we hadn't been fed into that process. Work with external and internal groups. This is really good, as what lots and lots of big companies do. They work with small startups, universities, and things like that. So you're buying in different levels of expertise and different ways of thinking, and you're sharing the cost as well. So lots of big banks, they don't always just do things in-house. They'll go to a fintech, or they'll go to a university and they'll say, we're thinking about this, what do you think? And then the external business comes up with the ideas and they work together on that. That's a really good way of bringing fresh ideas at quite low risk and low cost to your business. Do you take time for training, development and coaching, or is it everyone comes in, does their job and goes home again and no one ever stops to reflect? New ideas come to people at different times. So sometimes it can be very good to just take everyone out just for an hour or so, sit down with a problem and say, right, how are we going to deal with this? Or has anyone thought about that? So it's coming out of your day-to-day, small time investment, but it can reap big rewards. So if you do things a bit differently and shake things up, is your business risk averse, and are people set in their ways? Have you worked in places like that? I've worked in places, and just trying to get people to change their minds about stuff has been really painful. And you have to go on quite a long journey to get them to see there's a different way of doing things, but it can be done. And it's bringing people in and having safe challenge and just accepting that sometimes some people, it won't be for them. and it's not going to be the business for them because they are not open to being innovative or not open to any change at all. So, what are your values? What are your attitudes? And what are your behaviors? Do you, as a leader, do you support innovation? Do you reward it? Or do you think actually it's too much like hard work? I can't be bothered. We're okay. So, what is it? What's the vibe you give off? So, you're responsible. How does that work? And I think we've talked about lots of those things, and I'm very conscious of time. So if you have any questions about anything I'm talking about today, and obviously I'm going through at real rapid pace, this is like a day's workshop into half an hour, just do get in contact with me, drop us a line. I'm more than happy to chat. So if we go on to the next slide. How am I doing for time? Okay. Developing a strategy. So developing a strategy, it doesn't really matter what your strategy topic is. All right. The same principles are going to apply. And anyone who's worked with me, and Claire's worked with me for a number of years, will know when we talk about strategy, the first thing is, where are we? Where do we want to be? And how are we going to get there? So you need to do this. But whatever your business strategy is, whatever it is, that's your starting point. So where are we now? What data have you got? What market research have you got? What engagement survey stuff do you have? I mean, in the people world, if I was looking to develop a strategy, let's say a people strategy, I would get good people doing a SWOT analysis on people processes, for instance. So if I go in as an HR director or a head of people, what I do is I get the HR team, some senior leaders, and some people around the business to SWOT analysis all the HR processes. It'll take them about half an hour. All right. And I put all that together, and that's a really good bit of data. You can do the same around innovation. What do we like at it? What are people's views on it? So do that analysis. Think about where you want to be. Do you want or need to be market leader? Or actually, are you okay if you're the second one in the line? Lots of businesses are more than happy to be second or third in the line and let the market leader keep going, and then you just follow the best bits. If that's your strategy, absolutely fine. Then, as normal, you'll do your budgeting, you'll look at timescales, you do further research, and accountability. Who owns innovation in your business? Is it an integral thing that everyone looks after, or are there key people that keep an eye on it and make sure everything happens? Whatever works for your business is fine, but like anything, if you just assume it's going to happen, it won't. It's that hope is not a strategy again. Put stuff in place. Best way to, all I can see is best way to measure accountability. I can't see the rest of it, Claire, sorry. Okay, so that's that. And then the next thing is you need to communicate what you're trying to do. And with any change, with any strategy, celebrate your successes. If things don't quite work out, that's fine. Learn from it, share those learnings and make adjustments, and involve different people at different times. Okay, just bring people in. Don't have the same people. I think I mentioned it earlier. Get a couple of new starters in. Get someone who works in a completely different business in. We can all do NDAs. It's all fine. But get that different view. Do some market research. Okay, so where are you? Where you want to be? How are you going to get there? Put those timescales in and take it from there. We quickly go to the next slide. I think it's me again. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully these things make more sense to you now. I'm more than happy, and I love working with businesses around strategy. It's what I'm quite passionate about that, making sure people have a really good plan and they understand how they're going to get there. And I do online training, I do project work, and I come into businesses as well. I've done lots of really interesting work around innovation, but anything to do with people, because that is my background. So I'm thinking that's left us 5 minutes, bang on, for the next slide, which is any questions. And hopefully you can come off mute, and hopefully there'll be some.
Perfect. That is exactly bang on 5 minutes. I think the clock has just ticked over. So Claire did put a question. It was the best way to measure accountability on innovation was the full question.
Oh, that's really interesting. The best way, it's deciding, first of all, that's a hard one, Claire. It's deciding what that person is meant to be achieving. So if their accountability for innovation is making sure that, and I'm making stuff up, it wouldn't be this simplistic, that three, or maybe it's three new products get tested within the next 6 months. Maybe that's what their accountability is. Then that's what they're accountable for. It might be that every team is to come up with ways of improving their processes using AI. That might be something someone's accountable for. Okay, so it depends what it is, but it's that person understanding, having super buy-in, being very enthusiastic about it, and knowing what success looks like. Some people, this is bang up their street. You know, I mean, I'm one of those people that goes into an organization, very quickly assesses what's going well and what we can learn from, what we can move from one team into another team, and maybe what the opportunities are. So if you've worked in one business and joined another one, you're likely to be bringing all your best ideas with you and then looking how you can implement those into the new business. And any good business that's recruited you will want you to do that.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, we do have a few more moments for some questions. So if anyone did have any questions, please do unmute and ask away, or write them down in the chat and I can ask for you. Let's see if any come up. If not, I do have one actually that I could ask. No. Okay, so Anna, I did have a question actually. My question was, do you think, sorry, I've got this written down because it was a little bit long-winded. Do you think innovation changes dependent on the age of the staff? For example, people in the younger generation may be less willing to offer innovative actions. And how would you recommend we encourage those people in that generation to do so?
I don't think age makes any difference.
Sure.
I think it's around the encouragement and psychological safety. So, I mean, I have 20 somethings that live in my house and they're absolutely full of good ideas. They can't stop telling me all about them. And, I'm in my mid 50s and I go into organizations and I'm full of good ideas as well. It's about creating a platform where people can make suggestions. If you think about a meeting and you think of some of the meetings you've gone to, it might be that everyone thinks they're really dreary. I mean, I've been in meetings where it's felt so dangerous, you don't say anything at all, right? The MDs are having an absolute day of it, and you just don't say anything. That's an unsafe environment, so no one's going to come up with anything. So it's not about age, it's about opportunity and safety.
Thank you. There we go. Chris, not a question, but did you want to unmute and say your point?
Hi Henry, hi all. Yes, so I just pasted in the chat there. So in my previous organisation, the mindset, I was a manager, a recruiting manager, and it was always promoted. Our workforce represent the public we serve.
Your workforce represents, sorry, you cut out then.
Oh, sorry. Our workforce should represent the public we serve.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that can, I mean, this is going on to a slightly different topic in terms of recruitment strategies, but absolutely. It's no point having people that don't have any understanding of the needs of your customers, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I can talk about that for hours and hours and hours, particularly around medicine and things like that. But yes, absolutely.
Perfect, amazing. That is fantastic, and that does bring us nicely to bang on 11 a.m. So I don't think, Anna, we could have timed that any better, really.
What can I
There we
say?
go. So that does bring us to the end of this Business Bites webinar. Firstly, I'd just like to thank every one of you who came and attended today. Obviously, massive thank you to Anna, who joined us and presented the presentation, and to Claire, who made sure the technical side of things was well looked after as well. For those of you that did have any further questions or wanted to speak to Anna further, you can see her email address at the bottom of the slides, and you would have seen her contact details throughout. Finally, I've been Henry from the Kent and Vixen Chamber of Commerce, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Bye.